The Supra already sits pretty low from factory. I can tell you that because I get in and out of this car almost every day, and it's challenging. But here's the thing, I'm not a massive fan of that massive wheel gap you get up front and in the back, which is probably the main reason most people upgrade their suspension, is so they can close up that gap and make the car look a lot more aggressive. Like this right here, yeah, not acceptable. So we're gonna address that today. Not only do I want to eliminate the wheel gap on the Supra, but I also have aftermarket wheels that have been sitting in the shop for a few months now, and I've been dying to put them on. And wheels before suspension, that's a negative. Decided to go with MSS Suspension for the Supra. So it's not quite a lowering, I guess, lowering springs, and it's not quite coilovers. It's somewhere in between coilover springs. I guess that's one term that people use. Let's take a look at what we get right here. By the way, they do have a similar option from HKS, because Toyota's technically Japanese, right? But I figured since this is primarily BMW, I'd go with a company that specializes with BMW suspension, since they make kits for, I've seen for the X5 and for M3 M4s, and I believe 1, 2, 3, and 4 series from 2011 to 2020, if I remember correctly. So we do sell both options on our site, MSS and HKS, but I kind of like the orange color on this one. Orange. So I decided, let's try this one. Plus it's $100 cheaper, so cheaper is always sometimes a good thing. I don't know. You get a booklet here with some safety notes, post-install characteristics, warranty. By the way, lifetime warranty if you get this, so that's pretty cool. Oh, we got a spanner wrench so you can adjust the suspension itself. It looks really cool. So these are the front springs, and you got rear springs right here. For the rear setup, it's actually like a 2-spring setup. So on their coilover spring setup, and it's apparently supposed to still give you the comfort that you get from OEM, but on the rebound side of it, the helper spring allows it to have better response and rebound, and it should, I guess, ideally increase performance, especially if you're driving the car very fast around corners and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm sure they have a scientific reason behind it, but apparently, I believe the orange one sits up top, the black one sits at the bottom, and that combo just gives it a very good outcome. Oh, I did forget to mention there is an optional like dust kind of covered boot you can get from the front and the back, so it can protect the adjuster. We didn't get that. We live in Florida. I don't think we need it. So what we have here is, this is for the rear. The Supra does have a divorce setup, so you have the strut and the spring separately. This is what's going to allow you to adjust the height. It's very, very smooth, high quality, very nice. I believe they do have a special coating as well, so it allows it to not seize and not, you know, rust up. But yeah, this is very nice. So we're gonna use that for the back. And then the adjusters for the front are much bigger, obviously, because the spring is also much bigger. So here are the adjusters. It's a true coilover system up front. I don't think I've mentioned it, but we are using the factory struts. And the reason we're doing that is because the car has a factory EDC, electronic dampening control, and I don't want to lose that feature. It's a car with 5,000 miles. Why get rid of that for coilovers? Instead, just do this where you can keep the EDC, and the ride in general is just a lot more comfortable. But anyway, so we have the adjusters for the front right here. 4 adjusters in total, 2 in the front, 2 in the rear back here. And then we have, kind of right up on it a little bit, it's like a rubber seat. It's for the adjuster, so I guess the adjuster sits on it, like this. There you go. That's what it's supposed to do. So it's gonna sit on top of that rather than the assembly itself. And the last thing that we have here is, oh, they're white. It's not even a good idea. Well, anyways, they're gonna get covered anyways. But you got some, what appears to be some high quality bump stops. Should allow the suspension to have very good impact. It's gonna help with shock absorbent. So if you're running really, really low. So I did forget to mention that we bought a used Supra strut assembly, since the one that's on the passenger side is bent. Once we put this car on a lift a few videos ago, we noticed that it wasn't straight and it was damaged, so we bought this one used. This came from a low mileage Supra, so it should be good enough. So look at the camber on the driver's side, right? That's OEM, that's normal. And look at it on this side. It's definitely caving in towards the top. Definitely has maybe 2 or 3 degrees more of camber on this side than the driver's side. A little bit hard to tell on video, but it's definitely there. We are not slamming the Supra. Yes, we are.
Don't lie.
We're not.
Yes, we are.
Strut.
So much plastic.
I think out of the all stock wheels that I've seen, these are by far the best stock wheels.
The best looking ones.
Except, you know, this dumb silver that every manufacturer does.
Gives it a little bit of contrast.
Who cares about contrast? I just want it to be black. But I do like the caliper. The caliper looks cool.
Yeah, it does. It's pretty big. The
rear
rear
looks
caliper is sad.
Yep.
But the front looks all right. Now we get a closer look at the bent strut where you can actually already see it.
Can you?
It looks slightly to the left. Unless I have broken eyes.
So to remove the strut, obviously the 13's up top, 4 bolts, and then you have sensor here for EDC, sensor here for EDC. I don't know what they do, but whatever.
That's why I'd rather just go with the coilover sleeve option, especially if you have good condition struts. You don't have to worry about it, and you kind of get the best of both worlds. Comfort, performance, and you get to lower the height and get rid of that gap.
That was a sway bar end link. So it is kind of important to take off the end links because if you don't take it off, there's still load on the strut technically. So it will fight you when you're trying to take it out.
Normally, it's really hard to shortcut this because there's a fender you have to worry about. You can mangle it. But since this doesn't have a fender, there's more than enough room to just pull it out.
Yep.
And take it this way.
And then as soon as you do that, you're probably gonna rip it off because you didn't disconnect the brake level, brake pad sensor or something like that. So make sure to do that before.
Wow.
Oh.
Watch the candy. Sweet. This coilover looks clapped for only 5,000 miles. That's what happens when it sits at a Copart yard, you know? They don't really take care of these cars. They both look bent now. Cause you see it? It's right here, and then right here. I guess that's normal.
I don't know. I guess we'll...
Look at that. It does look kind of uneven.
Maybe that's a factory.
That's a factory bent, bro. The bash mod.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I wonder if that's even the issue, the camber. We just bought a freaking $800 strut.
The only problem is, this one's missing a tab. This one has the tab.
Okay. So quick update. I'm gonna have to get that eBay seller to refund me my money because it looks like that strut, like the replacement strut, is in worse condition than the original one. It's even broken up top. It doesn't center. And I can see where the center kind of like grazed up against the top hat and broke it. Let me show you. All right, so take a look at it. Like we said, it's not centered. But if you look closely back there, notice how that metal part is completely like cracked off, and I'm thinking this made contact with that. This is probably from a crashed vehicle, and they were just trying to make some money on the side. But look at the original one, nice and centered, and look at the replacement one. Yeah, something's not right about that. So we're gonna go ahead and put the OEM one back in. Maybe the car only needs an alignment, maybe it's not bent, maybe that's just the style that it has. It looked bent from the bottom, but after looking at this one and the driver's side one, it's not terrible. So maybe put this back on, return this trash right here, and continue with the video. All right, so it's a pretty straightforward, simple approach here. That rubber bottom piece gets removed, and this, whatever the hell this is called, cap. It's a cap. It has to be removed, but then we reuse it later on.
And then this is the new piece.
That's a new bottom piece, yeah, where the adjuster perch is gonna sit on.
And then this guy goes like so.
You got the big boy spring.
Cut the commercial brake.
That looks dope.
So that's it.
Orange. Muscly boy. Oh wow, so easy. Oh, Yeah, you got it. All right, one side complete, moving on to the other side. And this one's gonna be like, there we go. Now we can just tighten up everything in the front and move on to the rear.
So the rear, you just have to remove these 2 bolts. And then as soon as you remove those 2 bolts, you just pull it down, get the spring out, and then put the new spring on.
That's it.
Jeez. And then we see how slam this is.
So as you guys can see, the factory rear springs are very small. So if you look at the MSS ones, you have the orange one, you have the adjustable perch, and then you have the helper spring sitting on top. So it's pretty much the same height. I think that's how it goes. So you have the helper spring at the bottom, you get the perch, then the orange spring. This replaces the 1 spring assembly for the Supra, and then that goes up top. We're about to find out how low this car is. Damn! Dude, that's low. I gotta say, fitment came out pretty good. We won't have to put it on the lift and redial it in. Plus, I'm not gonna be too nitpicky about it since we gotta install the wheels on the car and then really dial in the fitment at that point. But yeah, let me show you guys what it looks like. It's just as comfortable. That's the cool thing about it. That's why I really like the coilover spring setup, because it uses that factory strut. So you get, it's like you get a benefit of performance and lower ride height without sacrificing like the comfortability. Is that a word? Like the comfort. We'll put it through some like a rough patch by our shop later on. See how that feels. But oh yeah. From what I can tell, the car ride's fun. It's a little bit more stiff around turns. That's for sure. I felt that. So it's a little bit. It doesn't do this as much. Do you get as much performance as a coilover system? Probably not. But I think this is like a good middle ground where you get a little bit of both. It's the same thing I did on the M5, because especially if you're gonna daily drive the car, you don't want to lose that comfort. And I don't really like my suspension setup to be super rough, because then you don't want to drive the car as much. AKA my A90 is E90. Those guys feel like you're running. It's like you're driving on rails, dude.
My E91.
Freaking solid diff mounts and shit. Not it. We got lots of holes in the ground and lots of
There's fucking potholes you can do oil change under.
So let's see how this feels.
Feels OEM to me.
It feels pretty OEM, right? It does a really good job like with shock absorbent. Like right here. Here, let's see if we feel this one. This is a pretty steep one right here. Ooh,
Still feels OEM.
that's soft. It's a good setup. You just got to make sure you don't have clapped shocks. Because if you have like, let's say a 335 or whatever with like 150,000 miles on those shocks, it's probably not gonna feel very good. At that point, I recommend you do shocks and springs, lowering springs, or coilovers. But if you have relatively like good, not blown shocks, this is a perfect setup for sure. Oh yeah, that looks good. Nice and low. The front is absolutely slammed. Might have to lift the front up just a little bit to match the back, or lower the back to match the front. But there's no point of doing it now since we're gonna go ahead and install new wheels. Make sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on that video. And as always, make sure to hit the like button. It really does help out the channel. And as always, thanks for watching. Until next time.